Ladies and gentlemen, Binnall of America!
And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host, Tim Binnall.
No commercials, no subscriptions, no network, no rules. And at the end of the day, my friends, no comparison. Welcome to a very special edition of BoA The Revival. We're actually coming at you on Christmas Day. So you've already opened the presents probably. You're got the meal going, all that good stuff. And here's a little Binnall of America for you to celebrate the holiday. And the exciting thing here is you may recall from last year, and if you're a hardcore BoA listener, you may recall the two previous spin-off shows I had, the Corona Cast and the infamous Good Parade. And over those two shows, I was blessed to have two fantastic co-hosts who were friends before we even did it, and then we became even better friends. I consider them like family. I love these guys. They are just tremendous folks, great people, and yeah, I love them. They're awesome. So we celebrated Christmas last year with a Christmas party, had a lot of laughs, so we're going to do it all again this year here in 2024 because, boy, could we use some laughs. Our guests, of course, are the illustrious Jeremy Vaeni.
Aloha.
Oh, there you go. And the maestro, Dr. Tyler Kokjohn.
Hello, everybody.
There you go. So when I think about last year, first thing I think is about the golf balls. So what's going on with your burgeoning golf ball reselling career, Tyler?
That has morphed into something that we do for charitable organizations. So we pick them up. The golf balls still have value. They're not as valuable as they were during the pandemic. The prices drop. But we give them to a local library, and then they sell them to the public. It's a big discount, but they can still make a few dollars, and we just give them to them, so they have no cost. And some other places.
So now that they've gone down in value, you're giving them to charity. Is that what I'm to understand? Before they were for your own profit when they were profitable. Is that what you're telling us?
Yes, that's absolutely yes. You've incised to the very heart of the matter, as per normal. So yeah, that's what happened. I'm not particularly proud of that, but yet there it is.
So how often? So you're still just out collecting golf balls?
We don't do it like we did during the pandemic, but we have been known to go out there and snag them. Yes, and I still have a couple of thousand rolling around the house that I got to get rid of somehow. So we'll do it. Yeah. Yeah, I'm telling you.
Well, I don't know.
Did you build a wing onto the house for this? I mean, that's a lot of golf balls.
Yeah, you almost could. Depending on where you live in our subdivision, it's actually talking to a guy last night, and he had some people doing some work on his roof, and they picked up 83 golf balls on his roof. And I don't know how many he's got stored in his garage, because what happens is the course is of small dimension. And if you try to hit really hard, as most of the people do here, you hook it, and you end up going off the fairway onto people's property. So hopefully,
so you
not
live
through the
that
window.
Close to the golf course. Oh wow!
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
I live by the 10th tee, close enough to hear the conversations.
What?
And a lot of times, you don't want the grandkids out there because some of these people get pretty tense.
Wow.
So anyway, it's amazing. It's amazing.
That's wild.
I actually learned a new sound listening to these guys that they would tee off. You knew that the ball had gone not where they wanted it. And there would be this dunk, dunk. For a long time, I couldn't figure out what it was. And I happened to be in the back one day, and I saw this happen. The guy took his driver and was just pounding it into the tee box, making big divots. Yeah, which back in my day, my dad would have taken me home. Said, "You're not playing anymore if you're going to act like that."
Yeah.
This is fairly common. I mean, that's how it goes.
Jeez.
So,
Wow.
Yeah, live and learn.
Are you a part of the golf club?
No. This is we don't have anything to do with that. It's a municipal course. It doesn't. We just happen to be next to it. So
I was getting see, because if I lived there, I would be always going to the clubhouse. I would just hang out at the club.
Yeah. I mean, what the hell?
Maybe Binnall, get the hell out of here. I'd be
No,
let's come here to drink in the afternoon. So
19th hole, man.
Next door.
You stop having a special on wings, and I'll leave.
Exactly.
So anyway,
interesting. Wow. Okay. Nice.
There are people here that have literally those storage bins full of golf balls in their garage, and it's time. Take it down to Jerry's, and you can sell them. Make something for it. But yeah, it's a whole different world.
Take them
Same
down to Jerry's.
Yeah.
Speaking of a whole different world, we got Vaeni out in Hawaii. What's the? I don't keep up enough with you, Vaeni. I'll admit, I love you. You know that, but we don't talk as often as we used to in the days.
Yeah, we're like real family. I don't talk to anyone.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like I called you last night just to be like, "You gonna be there tomorrow at 4?" And you're like, "Yeah, all right." So what's the animal count out there at the Vaeni Hacienda? There were goats. Remember, didn't you say last year you had a guy come out with the to get rid of the goats, but his method was to bring more goats or something like that?
No, nothing like that occurred. But
okay, something with goats. I thought you had some kind of a goat wrangler or something like that.
No, there was at one point where we had a guy who had a couple of goats who were he was like, "Oh, goats eat a lot and they can eat your grass down," but he brought 3 baby goats, and within a couple of feet, these things were fat and happy. So that wasn't gonna happen. But we have 6 ducks, 3 cats, and that's it. Those are our animals, and then pigs.
Oh.
We have pigs running around everywhere.
Oh, that was it.
Not our
You had a
pigs,
pig.
just wild boar. Yeah.
Yeah, that was what you were talking about last year. Someone who's he was coming to help you get rid of the wild boar, but it made it worse or something like that. I don't know what the fuck.
I don't know about the made it worse part, but I like that. So now we have here's a little Christmas cheer, sort of. So we've got this workshop where I usually do my videoing and whatever.
Yeah, okay.
But our neighbor's friend is a horse wrangler, and he got bucked off a horse 2 weeks ago onto a fence, broke his head, broke his pelvis, broke just about everything.
Jesus.
Got flown to another island with a real hospital. And I don't know him. I still haven't met him, but he's staying at the workshop because I guess where he lives there are stairs, and he doesn't have anyone to take care of him. So our neighbors are taking care of him, and he's staying at the workshop for the next 12 weeks or whenever he heals. And his name, in Spanish, it's Jesus. So.
Wow.
Yeah, Jesus for Christmas. We've got Jesus for Christmas. We're resurrecting him.
When it comes to Vaeni, there is room at the end.
How about that?
There you go. Wow. That's very generous of you and kind to take in a invalid.
I guess, yeah. I mean, I still haven't met him, but it just,
You haven't met him?
It's like, what are you going to, it's the right thing to do, so that's what you do. Yeah.
And he's living in you haven't met him and he lives in your workshop?
Correct.
Is it an
But where's he
outbuilding?
he's
or
got
is
a
it
wheelchair, so he's not going to steal things.
Oh, okay. No one's.
He's bedridden, Tim. Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's like, now's the perfect time to indulge in my penchant for thievery. I'll go and roll out of here with this shit. Oh man, well, that's crazy. Wow. Well, good for you, man. I hope this guy gets a full recovery. That's fucking wild. Jesus.
Yeah,
No
I
pun
can't
intended.
imagine that. Yeah.
It's actually a very nice place. And just so you understand, fair warning, if I ever get in there, I'm not leaving.
In the workshop.
Okay? No, it's more than a workshop. It can be a nice workspace. It's sizable, but you could live there very comfortably. If you like living on lava flows.
So, stay away, Tyler. Although, I did find, funny enough, I found a golf ball out by the garden over there. So,
damn, I wonder where that went.
Tyler's like a stripper with glitter. It's like he rolls through and he just golf balls everywhere he fucking goes. It's like, where are these even coming from?
Tim,
oh my God.
I'm sure your audience already knows this, but you have a new bunny this year, right?
Yeah.
And so, new bunny, how's new bunny getting accommodated to BoA headquarters?
He loves it. He's amazing. I really, we bonded really well. I don't know who. Well, I know who like raised it. We got him from like some family out in Western Mass. They must have handled him like a lot before we got him. We got him when he was like 6 weeks old, but they must have handled him a lot because he is incredibly tame. He's like the tamest. Ralph, the previous rabbit, was incredibly like skid. They're all skittish, but he was like just didn't want you to pick him up at all. And like if you did, he'd fucking freak out and shit. And this one I can just pick up at will. Hold him, carry him around like a little baby. He loves it. It's amazing. It really is. It's like, holy shit. Yeah, it's so cool. And he just chills on my chest. I walk around, like take him up to the window. I'm like, oh look, it's snowing out. It's awesome, So yeah, I love him. He's the man. So
does he have a little hutch outside?
No. We have raccoons here, so the raccoons are bad. So they'd get him in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Yeah, especially one that's so tame, he wouldn't understand.
Exactly. Yeah. I got to I was worried that he's going to get out of the house somehow, but we're keeping him on tight lockdown. So yeah, he's great. He's really cool. Yeah. I really enjoy his company. I hate to, this is dark, but it's like, I love him so much that like, I'm already worried about when he's going to die. Oh, Jesus.
No, I get that. The of the two new cats, I love them both, but one, Alfie, he's my son. He's like my cat son. I have the same feeling of like, oh God, now what am I going to do? Like it's inevitable.
Yeah.
It's probably 16 years away, but come on.
Right.
So wait, your cat doesn't periodically try to assassinate you and little things like that cats do?
No, Tyler. No, cats don't do that. Just
mine did.
It's all in how you. It's all in how you treat them.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Treat them like a golf ball, Tyler. Then they will love you.
Well, we had at one point there must have been $12,000 worth of cat toys in the house. So I think it was well treated. But anyway, yes, it would periodically. You know how they get that look on their face, and you're going to get it.
Yeah.
It would stalk me, and then boom.
I only remember that from my grandmother. She had cats like that, but I think it was because I had to sleep on the couch that was their couch.
Oh yeah,
and so they didn't like that.
Bad.
Yeah, that's the weird
at night
part about cats. Like my buddy Zach Farr, I'm sure he's listening. Like he was supposed to come to Paramania this year, but then he's like, my cat gave me a gruesome fucking scratch, and now I'm in the fucking hospital and shit. And it's like you've had this cat for 8 fucking years or whatever, dude. You don't hear that with other animals. That it's like after a while they get accustomed to you and they don't fucking savagely go after you. But people with cats, my cat fucking scratched my face. Mr. Tinkles fucking got my eye. I was like, an eye patch now. It's like Mr. Tinkles has lived with you for 7 fucking years, dude. Why? What did you fucking do to that cat? Apparently that's just what cats do.
Yeah,
and I love that they're so it's so built in that they're still going to love these cats that they're like, yeah, I got to wear an eye patch the rest of my life. What are you going to do? And then you're still taking care of Mr. Tinkles.
Right. When he can't,
gotta love Mr. Tinkles.
That's what I said. I'm like, if I was in that position, and like, I'd be like, fuck Mr. Tinkles, you're done. When I get back from the fucking hospital, that cat better not be there. All I have to say. Jesus Christ.
Oh, the love coming through, Tim, is just, it's unreal. So,
For real,
but they can, their bites and scratches, as you know, can be really serious.
Yeah,
they got some
scratch fever. Yeah,
it can be lethal. So
Yeah.
You can very easily land in the hospital. So by all means, Jeremy, get more cats.
Oh, jeez.
I'll see what I can do.
Okay.
Now, what was? I was going to ask you something. You muted yourself. What? You were teasing. You had some special story, a guest, someone stayed in the room that from whence you speak. Vaeni?
Uh-oh. I think Tim's getting old. We just talked about it. It was Jesus.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right. Okay. All right. Well, when Tyler teased it, I thought it was like someone we were going to know. I thought it was Tyler at first. I was like, oh, did Tyler go back out there or something? No, okay. All right.
No, I will be out there eventually. Either that or, or Slab City. I found
You going to come visit?
What's Slab City?
It's, you know where Salton City is? Salton Sea, California?
No.
Well, Jeremy got me turned on to watching some documentaries. He gave me a couple of watch assignments, and they were interesting. And then I just happened on this one about Slab City, and it's about Salton City, where these people basically live for free. But boy, it's kind of harsh, as you can imagine. But very eye-opening. There's a place not too far away where everybody camps in the wintertime in Arizona called Quartzsite. And you can camp out there for like $150 for the entire season, but no services. If you want water or whatever, somebody's got to bring it to you. Food, items like that, you got to either bring it or find it, kill it, whatever. And
Jesus.
It's on you. Yeah.
You realize California is not in Hawaii, right? When you say you're coming out here.
Yeah, that'll be my plan B. That's plan B.
Wow.
So wait, plan B is to go to a place where you have to kill your own food?
This
is
extreme.
A is to go to the place.
Extreme plan B. Plan A is to come.
I'm confused as to what plan. Okay, good, because I was going to say plan A is paradise, right? Plan B is
there you
fend
go.
for yourself apocalypse. Okay.
Yeah, but as long as you keep the cats out.
Jesus
Christ.
Christ.
Tyler, we got to reacclimatize you to cats so you can understand them better.
Yeah. Okay.
I'd be uneasy. How many? You got 3 cats, Vaeni?
3 cats. One's old and keeps us up at night, and I get no sleep anymore. And then 2 are not old, and they're adorable, and they run around and fight each other and sleep.
One of the 2 is your son.
That's right. Yes.
What's his name?
His name is Alfie.
Oh, I think you did say that. Yeah. Nice.
And Alfie. The reason he's so amazing is like he keeps training himself to do tricks and things to like make us laugh and pet him. Like he will literally watch us out of the corner of his eye and then wait, to see if we look at him, and then he'll like roll over on his back, or he'll just start like playing with his ball, or he does all this. He sits in the corner like a human, like he sits up with his legs spread, like sort of mimicking me in my chair. It's like he's just adorable. I can't get over him.
Is he named after the Woody Allen character?
No, he's the only cat that we kept the name at the shelter because he looked like an Alfie. He was like, no, you look like a
Makes sense.
Now, Tyler, have you seen I know we'll talk a little for people who are like, what the fuck? What is this? We'll talk a little paranormal in a way. Have you seen the Netflix Bud Hopkins series there with Carol?
Yes, I did.
Oh, okay. So we've all seen it. All right.
Yeah.
What did you think, Tyler?
First of all, I was kind of shocked to see Carol Rainey, because she was not very well at that point.
Yeah.
But doing as well as she could, and I wondered how I had heard this was being done, and I wondered how they would present it Because, Bud's been gone for, 12 years?
At least a decade, yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while. And I wondered how the story would be told. I was interested because I knew some of the characters involved.
Yeah.
It was, and so the way that, in my view, the way they set it up was kind of a cage match between Carol Rainey and Linda Napolitano. Yeah. And that I get, you need some drama. And it's unfortunate that Bud couldn't be here to speak, but they had Peter Robbins, who probably was one of the best qualified people to speak on behalf of Bud, because he was intimately involved. So
he was there when it was all going down. So
and you did get the story and how things kind of evolved. What was very interesting to me that I had never seen before was Bud and some of the abductees going on the TV shows and the reactions that they got, which was, put it mildly, not very supportive. So I think that had to clue them in as to how the general public would probably think about this particular story or stories. There were several stories intertwined that were quite fascinating. And then I don't know. Remember, I'm completely biased. That I knew and liked Carol Rainey very well, and we had worked together, been on a couple of podcasts together. So but I felt like Linda didn't come off as a very sympathetic character at all. And
I'd agree with that. Yeah, she's very very feisty, to put it nicely.
Yeah, and I gather that's kind of the way that she's always been. But so that and I understand. I think maybe Jeremy said this, that she wasn't very happy with how the final product came out.
Well, she's suing Netflix.
Yeah, and so I kind of have to wonder how that. You would have to have some sense, I would think, as you're talking, because this was in their own words type of documentary.
Yeah.
And so, I assume that they're bouncing questions to her and she's just responding. Maybe they just turned on the camera and she just took off. I don't know. But I didn't feel
go ahead.
No, I just didn't feel like she turned out to be a very sympathetic character from my viewpoint. But that could just reflect my bias. I just going to favor Carol's account.
Yeah, and they also could have framed her that way because they did kind of maybe that's why she's suing them, because they when I heard about the lawsuit, I thought it was that the show really decimated her story. I thought it almost left it almost too open-ended at the end, where it's it could have happened kind of thing. When it was I don't know. I mean, they brought a lot of evidence here that this is some chicanery going on, but so I don't know. I mean, maybe I wasn't paying close enough attention in the last episode, but it seemed like they still left too much wiggle room for the story to.
No, I'm with you. That's kind of how I felt. No, it's not the way that I would have done it, but nobody would watch a documentary that a science type person did. It'd be too boring. But I was looking for more of a defined conclusion at the end about the veracity of the story. Although they did a lot of.
They poked a lot of holes in it.
Yes, they did. So I guess maybe that's just good enough,
Now, at the risk of being risque, but I sort of did a litmus test then with some friends, and they were kind of yeah. And then I called Vaeni, and he was like, no, probably not, because she would have mentioned it. But I thought I sensed some sexual tension there between, or something. Seemed like maybe there was something else going on, between Bud and Linda. It was wait a minute, are they on the QT here? But he said probably not. So, but did you get that sense too? It was just kind of a weird infatuation that he seemed to have with her or something. It seemed like there was something, I don't know. It was very odd. It was very odd.
I think if he did have an infatuation, that it was because she was such a good subject and the story was so intriguing. If there was anything ever happening between the two, Carol Rainey never hinted at that to me ever at any time. But yeah, I just think that, you know, she was a star pupil. What I recall, and it's been a while, but Carol felt that Linda was really smart, and that she was there and she kind of figured out what would work in terms of what Bud and the Intruders Foundation would be interested in. Because he did have a board of directors, as I understand it, that reviewed what was going on and whatnot. So that's one of the things that Carol had told me directly, is that, yeah, she felt like she kind of learned things and how to hit the right buttons, and she sure did in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Well, what did you think about it, Vaeni? I know you mentioned it on the election night special, but I was so distracted I don't even remember what we talked about with that. So what was your take on the series?
I mean, superfluous. I don't know. Part of me is glad that Carol got at least some of her work or whatever footage that she had worked on for her own documentary on this out there, posthumously at least. So that's good. But I mean, it definitely, like, I mean, Linda Napolitano claimed that she was abducted with John Gotti. She claimed that people from the Vatican shoved her into a van and whatever. So it's like,
oh yeah,
she's got these other bits of outlandish story that didn't even, like, to put those in here. I guess this is the problem, like, because you're saying it was open-ended in a way, and it kind of was too open-ended. But I think if you say, like, the John Gotti part and the Vatican part, like, maybe that closes it off too much. Like, if you led with that, you wouldn't even bother having a documentary. You'd be like, okay, no.
Yeah. Right, yeah.
But I also thought, like, it's interesting. Like, no, I don't think Bud Hopkins had any sort of sexual relationship with her, but I think it's clear that Carol Rainey is the wife who is on the outskirts looking in, and all of Bud's intimacy goes to his clients or whatever they are, book subjects.
Yeah.
Because all of them are like, you know, he's like, oh, he's just in it with them. Oh, it's just so awful. And the only time he really lights up and seems happy about anything was when he was at the book publisher explaining how this book is going down. You know, like he was gleeful like a little kid. So I think there is a lot more of the vanity of Bud Hopkins, because Carol had always talked about him being a narcissist, that he seemed like a kindly grandfatherly type to people, but in his personal life he was a raging narcissist, you know, kind of guy. Which makes sense to me, because she was, I guess, recovering. I don't know when she became a recovering alcoholic, but, you know, has that going on with her. It seems to me she would attract like minds like that. So I don't know. I just see it and I go, okay, Bud seemed like the kindly whatever. But really, there was more of his work was arguably a vanity project for him, you know?
Yeah.
And so when she comes along, it's like not just an intriguing case, but Tyler, you bring up the fact that he went on these shows with these abductees and they got laughed at and they got booed and whatever. So this case would be the one that, like, really breaks through, right? Yeah. Like, how does a guy like that persist? And this was the one, and by all accounts, this was supposed to be the one that, like, okay, we've got the guy from the UN who witnessed this. We've got these 2 Secret Service agents or whatever they are coming after her. It's like you've got this real world intrigue and witnesses and it's going to happen. This is the one that you can't ignore. And then it turns out to be totally ignorable. And why didn't they in this thing either talk to the guy from the UN or talk about that people had asked him? I mean, they really didn't mention the guy from the UN that much as a witness. Like, that was not the focus of this documentary at all.
Right.
The ambassador who supposedly witnessed this, but didn't somebody ask him back then? And he was like, I don't know what you're talking about. So again, that would be another clue that things aren't as they appear. But I agree that, like, in terms of suing, because you feel like you came across poorly, that is, I mean, I've had interactions with her online, and she's used some of the same verbiage with me. Because I asked her about the John Gotti thing and the Vatican thing, and, you know, it's all this, oh, you want to play? You want a tough guy? You know, it's that sort of, goes into that defensive mode.
Yeah.
And That is who she is. So they actually did make her look better than she could have. I thought the lighting on everyone made everyone physically look sick, which I found odd.
Yeah, it was
Peter
a little
Robbins
odd,
looked like an alien. Carol Rainey looked like an ant from Lord of the Rings. I don't know. It was just it was very strange all around, because it has the air of we're trying to be respectable about this topic because kind of we promised these people we would, but really we want to make a thing where it's just like you said, pitting these two women against each other, this sort of misogynistic thing, and also make fun of this crappy subject. But we kind of can't, but we're kind of going to do it in these roundabout ways through lighting and through editing and whatever. But I don't know. Yeah, that's my take, I guess.
That is interesting. Until you brought that up, I hadn't thought about the lighting, because they spent a lot of time producing this, and they did. The special effects, the things were done well. But now that you mention it, the lighting was harsh.
It was weird. Yeah,
it really was. So at least they didn't present one person in really flattering conditions and the other in horrible. To try to.
Yeah. Now, maybe one of you two would know this from being friendlier with Carol. Carol and I were friends online, but we never really talked or anything. But how did this even end up getting made? Did someone contact her about the story and she was like, yeah, okay, let's do it? Or was Linda working with these people first and then they came upon Carol? Do we know anything about that?
I don't.
I don't. I know that Carol was talking about various products, a book, other things, but beyond that, I really did not hear much for years on end. She didn't convey anything, so I just don't know how it got going.
Yeah. Well, I like it in a sense because it's poor Carol, she passed away, but she got to do one big fuck you on the way out, so that was kind of
well, okay, now don't forget, she also had the opportunity, thanks to Jeff and Jeremy, Paratopia, and a few other programs, to say her piece.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I gotta say, I don't know if this is petty or not, but because I don't actually care, I have no emotional attachment to what I'm about to say, but they mentioned that she had this article published, online that blew the gates open and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, that was you guys, right?
That was Paratopia Magazine, but not only did they not mention it, they didn't show it on the screen. They just showed, the article. And I don't know if that was Carol Rainey saying, no, this is my article, don't give them credit, or if this was production deciding to do that. I don't know. But either way, I thought that was kind of, weird.
Well,
it's
weird, at least weird in the sense that Jeff and I would always talk about, there seems to be this trickster element that keeps us away from, it keeps us in a box, right? No matter what we do, we're stuck in this box. And part of it is being blacklisted from ufology and whatever over this stuff and the Emma Wood stuff. But the other part of it is just weird. For instance, I am friends with friends, in quotes at least, on Blue Sky now, it used to be Twitter for me, with podcasters and podcasts and all of this, and whoever asks me on their shows, Tim Binnall, Soraya, that's it. So I just find it odd that's true, you know what I mean, and that nobody ever invites me to conferences, all this. I'm not doing sour grapes, who cares? Except that it just seems to be a fact, and this fits into that. You know what I mean? It's just it's bizarre to me. This is the one shot of Paratopia Magazine. Nah.
Now, you don't suppose that they were concerned about the rights to do that?
I mean, they had music and all kinds of stuff that they had
yes.
to,
Yeah, so I'm not trying to make excuses for them, but the other thing that would concern me is that this is something that is core, that's central, and they didn't get in touch with you. That's a gap in my mind. That's a gap.
That's weird.
Yeah,
that is odd.
So but I will say the reason I'll give you the little just juice on this. The reason I think maybe Carol Rainey told them not to, or asked them not to, is because we did sort of have a weird falling out toward the end. so I wonder if she was like, because she had read my book Aliens, the first and final disclosure. I think it was that one, and not the one before it. But whichever book it was, she wrote to me this like just out of nowhere. I hadn't heard from her in a long time, and I had sort of written just a couple of paragraphs, I think, about the Emma Woods case, and I didn't mention her, and she was irate that I hadn't mentioned her. And how dare you, and all this sort of stuff. I'm like, whoa, where is this coming from? Like, the chapter isn't about that. It's not even about Emma, really. Like, it's not about that. So we had a little back and forth, and at the end, I told her where she could stick it. And then we had months of like eventually we sort of, it was never the same after that, but we had, online chats after that.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? So it was like kind of lukewarm toward the end there. So I just wonder if she was like, don't give them any credit.
It's certainly possible. I remember the incident because I went back and read the book over again. And because I said, I don't read it this way at all. And I read the section again and I said, no, I don't see it the way she does at all. Because I remember you talking to me and were kind of upset by the whole thing. So. Yeah,
but part of me now wonders, like, and we probably talked about it back then too, like, was it that she was dying and, and she was searching for like, okay, I want somebody to give me some credit here. In which case, if that's what it is, then great. This documentary is it, so maybe she should get her wish.
I understand that. I get that part. I would think that she wouldn't do that. I would hope that she wouldn't deliberately do that, but it's possible. I have to admit that it's possible. And,
this is Vaeni we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, let's go back, Jeremy, and review why nobody has you on this, because you don't play right. Okay, you just don't play right.
That's it. Yeah.
So
nobody asks me on their shows either.
You do conferences. You host conferences and all that. You go around the country. You go to Canada, for Christ's sake. Canada of all places.
Those are just pleasure trips. No one's paying me to go to Canada.
This is the way to do it.
Yeah.
And that's a tax
You're already in Hawaii, so why would you? Where could you go for pleasure anyway?
Yes, really. Where the hell could you go? That would be better than living on a lava field with a volcano.
I feel like you would do well in Florida, Vaeni. You been there?
You're what? Me? You?
Yeah. You.
Who's going to Florida?
I feel like you would do well down there.
I don't know. The humidity, the Trump. No, I don't think so.
No. All right.
Yeah. Okay. Texas.
Texas is nice in some places.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's first of all, the state is huge.
Yeah.
So there's lots of different environments.
Why do you guys want me to move? I'm not moving.
Too far.
We're just making conversation, man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're trying.
It is funny that I've talked about this before on the show, but it's even more pronounced now as the years have gone by. But it's like, boy, that alien abduction thing, I really never kind of, like, no one's, there are still people who say they're abducted and everything, but it's just not what it used to be at all. Like, it was kind of a fad or something. It was just a flash in the pan of a few years, and then, you really don't see it like you did back then when the three musketeers of abductions were kind of stirring it up and making a big stink about it. Now, those three guys, that would be a documentary. That would be an interesting documentary to make. Sort of the fate of the three dudes who popularized abductions.
There's Carol had told me about this book by Jim Schnabel, Dark White.
Yeah.
And he went through, as it existed then. Now, this book is fairly old. It's still available on Amazon. He went through the abduction phenomenon as it existed at that point. It's very, very interesting. Really deconstructed it. So that may have been something that got her thinking.
Yeah.
Because, she was, at first, she went through an evolution on this. That she started out, Bud was her husband. She was very fascinated by the whole thing. And then it just didn't work for her. I think if there's a theme in her life, it's questioning, starting to look at stuff and saying, well, this doesn't fit with that, and how does that work? And she's just not one to let it go. But I think that Jim Schnabel's book kind of maybe was a catalyst for her to.
It's a skeptical take on the abduction.
Yes, very much so. Although he has a lot of the primary facts in there. And it's been a long time since I read it, but it was really good. It was a good introduction to what was going on.
Yeah.
But, the other thing is that when you think about how the TV audiences reacted to the abductees, but this was pretty close or right on the heels of the Satanic Panic. Do you remember that? You guys old enough to remember that? And, they're having, like, the McMartin family, their business and lives were ruined by these accusations that were just bizarre.
Right.
And certainly no stranger than what Linda was talking about. And those, man, they carried the day. I mean, they had actual court cases and people jailed and businesses lost over these things. So it's funny how one catches and the other doesn't.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It's also, what do you make of either of you, I guess, sort of sticking with Tim's theme here, like alien abductions aren't popular. That's sort of gone away as a popular topic. But UFOs are still, and even just like lights in the sky UFOs, not even spectacular landing trace cases or anything like that, but just like people who are like, I see a ball of light in the sky and I caught it on camera and oh my God, this is amazing. Like that is still hugely popular. What do you make of that? Like this sort of low level, like nebulous contact that is probably nothing versus people who claim, like me, people who claim that something walks into their room and interacts with them, not popular. What do you make of that?
Probably because the latter is like unfathomable to people, so they don't believe it. You know what I mean? They're like, I can't.
But they must sort of believe it if they believe the first one, right? Like if you believe that aliens are here or whatever you think, your UFO footage.
Yeah, I think that because it's just so vague, the light, that they're just like, they attach whatever they think it is. And they're like, oh my God, it's a fucking alien. This is,
Well, but also they believe Grush. Like the people who believe David Grush, who believe like the Vatican, again, the Vatican, back in the 30s, swept up a UFO. And we've got a program that just sweeps up UFOs all over the place and biologics.
Right.
Like they must think that aliens are here doing something. So you would think like it would lead them back into abductions, but it just doesn't. Which is
that's
good.
What I was thinking in a sense when you were kind of setting up that question in a way where it's just like, okay, we've had all these congressional hearings and shit, and they've never mentioned abductions. Like they've never even brought it up. So it's like clearly it's not an issue. It's just fallen out of favor in sort of the UFO scene. I think maybe, I think maybe for all the talk about disclosure and everything, I think that a lot of people want to keep this at arm's length. They're like, okay, so they're in the sky and shit, but they're not like coming to hurt us or anything, So I think that they that's about as comfortable as people can be. Is like,
well, also I think it was in the rainy. Wasn't it in this rainy Mary where they mentioned that? I think it was in this that this case blowing up, or when she published her article. That really kind of destroyed abduction research. Like it's sort of like domino. They kind of, right? Didn't they make it sound like that? That like this was sort of the end of course, it wasn't just that. It was also, I think, the Emma Woods thing more so even, but both. It was both of those things happening at the same time. And maybe it had a bigger impact than we realized at the time of like actually shutting this shit down, And so if you take away hypnosis as a way for people who think they're having experiences to like go and explore and all of that.
Yeah.
If they don't do that, they don't end up with sci-fi alien doctors, I believe. I think that's an artifact of hypnosis. And they end up more as the people I've been interviewing for years and years and years who are lifelong experiencers who just have this host of stuff. It's not cookie cutter. It's more quote unquote shamanic, just in its scope of, hauntings and whatever. There's less that you can hold on to there. I mean, I think that was, if you want to call it the genius of Bud Hopkins and even David Jacobs to an extent, is making the cookie cutter thing that you could present to the public and say, look, this is alien doctors, just like us, treating us like animals and doing malevolent things. That's a story that a sci-fi story you can latch onto. How do you latch onto something walked through a wall and took me at night, and by the way, my house is haunted, and I have synchronicities, and I see 11:11 every time I look at the clock. All of this sort of like crazy stuff. That's not a story. That's just you're crazy, right? In this society.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Well, they did develop a really working narrative that they could kind of fit into these different things. And I think also part of the reason too, we don't have anyone of their level like sort of advocating for abductions anymore. And also, I think we're fucking old, dude. Like young people, they only kind of have a basic idea of the alien abduction thing. And I don't think they really, I don't know. I think they're more likely to be like what you're talking about, Vaeni. It might be like, I had a fucking shamanic experience. This shadow person came into my house and fucking talked to me and da-da-da-da. And they don't really even think to put it into the alien abduction trope because that's like from the fucking 80s. You know what I mean? So it's like they don't think to even be like, I think an alien fucking abducted me. And because they don't even really know about it. They only know like the super basic version. And often it's like that's the part about the fucking anal probe. So it's like, well, nothing got stuck in my ass, so it couldn't have been an alien abduction. So we can guess that off. It's a very
you're onto something really here. Every few decades, I think you're onto something. Like every few decades, we recontextualize this stuff, and then we have amnesia about it having happened. Like I'm reading Carl Jung's autobiography, and he just got done, this is the guy who's talking about like how we're a bunch of different people in our own heads and archetypes and all this, and you're not really sure, are archetypes actual beings or are they psychological phantasms? What are they? And now I'm at the point where he's talking about he's built this tower for himself out in the woods and he's living in it, and every time there was this one night where he would shut his eyes and suddenly I think he was hearing like footsteps and children like chanting or singing or something, and he would open his eyes and there would be nothing, close his eyes, there it was, he'd go looking, nothing, and he didn't know what to make of it. It wasn't really a dream, it didn't make any sense to him. And then he found in some records somewhere like in the 1500s or 1600s that this used to happen. Like he found where it happened, and then he started relating it to apparently hermits when they hole up in caves and stuff, have things like this happen where they start to hear, voices and music and stuff. But by the way, it's also kind of a haunting. And by the way, his sister knew that he had built one of his structures on graves because she sensed it, and he was like, no, I didn't. But then it turns out they did. So here's Carl Jung, who's trying to present psychology to science, but what he's really talking about is alchemy, psychic ability, hauntings, and he has all of this knowledge of these categories of hauntings, from like what hermits see as hallucinatory phenomena to like what, soldiers in the 1600s experienced. And we would never have those categories now. You know what I mean? Like it just, You're right. I like every few decades, it just, some other definition takes it over and it just becomes that. But then we have, again, because we so are focused on the one thing we wanted it to be, he wanted it to be psychology, that it just, we lose, I guess, the thread of like, no, this is just some perpetual thing that's there. Yeah. Perpetual bunch of things that's there. We're not discovering anything new. It ain't aliens. It probably ain't ghosts. We don't know what the hell it is.
Right.
How do you sell that? I guess you don't.
You don't. No, you got to be like, it's an alien thing or, People,
but they're sort of trying to now, right? They're sort of trying to say, like, yes, we have these UFOs that show up on radar. Like Jeff Kripal's trying to do this too, right? Like we've got this phenomena that shows up on radar, but is also non-physical, also seems to react to your thought or your whims of fancy of like what you expect it to do. It'll sort of play cat and mouse in some trickster way. But so like but nobody actually says what we're actually saying, because I don't think anyone knows what we're saying, right? Like when you say it's physical, non-physical, it's part of your thought, it's not part of your thought. Like, what are we actually talking about? So it's just easier to say, oh, that's aliens, or no, that's interdimensional aliens.
Yeah.
But it's just
Tyler,
a
what are your
placeholder for we don't know what the hell it is.
Yeah.
If you get me to shut up. Okay, goodbye.
No, I want Tyler to join in on the exchange here. So what are your thoughts, Tyler?
Well, I think you touched on it right away, and that is that it's so much easier to look at lights in the sky, report those, and talk about, I don't know what it is, but maybe it's got something to do with some other life form that would be fascinating. It's a lot more dangerous to be the experiencer of high strangeness and talk about that in public, because you could see that the reaction that Linda Napolitano got was pretty hostile. And, this really opens yourself up. I guess I don't need to tell Jeremy, the dangers of that. But if you think back to the history of the UFO phenomenon, remember NICAP? Was that Kehoe? One of the first things they said is, we're not touching that. We're nuts and bolts. We're going to go down for the classic sort of, this is what middle America can accept, sort of a one step at a time kind of approach. And I think that was largely out of fear that they would be branded as lunatics and just dismissed. And I have a lot of people that see things that we can't explain. That happens all the time. We also have a lot of people that report experiences that we can't explain. That happens constantly. But it looks like some of that is not in the ascent right now. I have to agree with you. But I didn't feel like that part of the history was of Carol's article and what its impact was maybe from the telescopic view of history, that it seemed like, he wrote this and then bam, everything fell apart. But I don't remember that at all, going back and forth with some of these people and the vitriol that Emma Woods and Carol attracted from big names, supposedly in ufology, who felt compelled to defend this turf and afraid that if a hypothesis fell, that all was lost. Well, you're supposed to be scientists. Hypotheses fall all the time. Come on, dudes.
Right. Well, once John Mack died, then it was like, that was the first domino. And then, then Carol and Bud, and they're falling out. And then Bud, he died like relatively soon after Mack did. I mean, this was all kind of condensed in like a 5 or 6 year period from what I can recall.
I think you're right. Yeah.
And then the Emma Woods thing kind of blew David Jacobs off the stage. So it was like all three kind of like fell out of the limelight, right? In quick succession.
Yeah. And there were things that you could argue that, well, the Emma Woods thing really doesn't have much to do with the alien abduction, except it was all just intertwined in there. And in my opinion, what David Jacobs was doing wasn't even close to a methodical scientific approach, although he was lauded as a scientist. I think Paratopia really exposed that one. Emma Woods actually did herself, and this is just my opinion of how he worked, or from what I could glean is how he worked. But it just I just don't recall it being 1-2 that the Paratopia magazine came out and then all the dominoes fell. I just remember there was a lot of back and forth. And
there was a lot of fighting and shit. Yeah, I remember it was very controversial at the time.
It was, and both Carol and Emma took a lot of grief. Of grief.
For sure.
So, which is not how it should work, but it's how it did work. So,
and it's funny. I hammer this all the time on the show, just how we've all been, grown long in the tooth in this field and shit. And and I think I don't know if we talked about it before, or I certainly might have talked about it to Vaeni in private or whatever, but it was like the Emma Woods thing came back up again like a couple of years ago or whatever. And there was like all these UAP people were like, oh, I never even heard of this thing. And and it's just like, oh God. So, I think if anything, Well, many things the paratopia work contributed, but I think the death knell to hypnosis, they really fucking destroyed hypnosis as a viable tool to study this stuff. In my opinion, at least, there's still people who hang on to that, but it's like, nah, I don't think, I don't necessarily know if this hypnosis thing is like all it's cracked up to be. And I remember from the Bud special, there was one. I shouldn't laugh, but it was like uncomfortable. It's an uncomfortable laugh. But there was like a scene where he's like working with one of the abductees and he's got him like hypnotized and the guy's like fucking freaking out and crying and screaming and shit. And it's like, bro, if you got like a fucking, like a grown ass adult man crying and screaming on your couch in your fucking apartment while you're hypnotizing him, maybe like you should steer him towards getting some professional help and not fucking, doing this as a side project in addition to being a painter. Like, this man clearly is distressed in a manner that needs professional help, not fucking like, okay, let's go deeper. Let's go fucking deeper, Bob, and find out more. Fucking Bob needs help, dude. Bob needs fucking help.
But remember that these guys set themselves up as a therapist. I mean, Emma Woods from another country had a therapist of sorts. I mean, I guess he wasn't a psychologist, but he was her therapist or counselor. And he's the one who, I think, reached out to David Jacobs because he didn't know what to do with her experiences. And David Jacobs was like and Bud Hopkins were the world authority on this.
Right.
So they set themselves up as the therapy. You'd think a counselor would know better than that, but I don't know.
I guess that's kind of the point I'm trying to make, though. Like, at some point they lost the plot where it's like the guy having a fucking nervous breakdown on your couch should have been the moment where you're like, I don't know if I should be doing, like, am I doing this? But they were
you would think that there would be that there would be something in them that's like, oh, this is beyond my pay grade. I'm an artist.
Yes,
or something,
exactly.
Instead of arguing over, well, is this a hoax or is this aliens? But it's like, this is how backwards this stuff is, Tim.
Yeah. And I think people get so enamored with the idea of like that we're dealing with. I hear this all the time. Where it's like, or at least you hear it a lot. It's like, this is like the biggest story in the history of humankind and all this shit. And it's just like, people get caught up in that talk and they're like, and if they think they're I'm sure they kind of convinced themselves that they were, like you were saying, this was the case that was going to be, you couldn't be ignored and shit. I'm sure they were like, this is it. This is the secret to the whole UFO thing, and we're the only ones who are fucking digging into this with the aliens and shit. So,
Bud was at least right there holding their hands, could comfort them, although he was still extracting information from them.
Yes.
But it's interesting that your first thought, Tim, is, wait, this is not right. I should stop. I should be careful. This is too much. And how much can you extract from a person in the furtherance of your research? That's I'm not even going to talk about Emma Woods.
So that's
appalling.
Yeah, that's a whole fucking another kettle of fish. But yeah, so it is kind of, that was the impression I got watching the show. I was just like,
but
what are you doing?
Well, let me devil's advocate this, because I mean, as we're talking about, you go on the TV show as an abductee and you get laughed at. Part of the problem, or at least part of the cliche goes, I can't tell a psychologist about this or I'll be locked up in the nut house, right?
Right.
So was there some truth to that? Is there some truth to like, well, I can't get regular therapy because they won't believe me and they may lock me away in an institution?
I suppose it's possible. I mean, I suppose I could see it. I guess, I don't know. Tyler, you're the doctor. Is that like...
Yeah, Tyler.
Well...
What would you have done? Who would lock me away, buddy?
Yeah, but not for that.
Oh, okay. Fair.
It's kind of tricky because I don't know what the standard of care would be for a psychologist or a counselor. And so one of the things that could be of service would be to talk to someone. I mean, you guys got Scott Lilienfeld on the show and other experts, but ask them, like, if you encountered this situation, what would be the standard playbook? And, the first thing I can think of is that you want to be sure that this person hasn't had some kind of general psychotic break and that they're, oriented to time and place, and then they can get along okay if you let them out the door. Yeah. But I would think that would be part of the process. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that most of the people who discuss or report abduction experiences are not in that category, that they're out of touch with reality. They're basically okay. They have this part of their existence, is peculiar, but the rest of it is not. And so I think that probably be okay, and you wouldn't end up being locked away. But if it was me, I'd probably be afraid. I'd be very hesitant. I wouldn't want to come forward just for fear of what other people might think. I know that labels me as a coward. It's important. And that's one of the things that if you're going to do research, one of the things you worry about is this riskier than normal activities of daily living kind of thing? Is that, am I subjecting this patient to undue harm if something goes wrong here? But I would say that this would best be answered by somebody that really is in the trenches as a counselor or a therapist.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, but I see your point, Vaeni. Yeah, that is an interesting question. It's like, could you really get locked up? And maybe, especially I would think in the 40s, 50s, 60s, But then in the modern age, I don't know. And nowadays, I imagine they would just fucking throw a shitload of drugs at you. They'd be like, you just need fucking, Tinkleton. So we're going to give you.
Side effects may include hallucinations.
Yeah. But the other thing is that in one sense, it doesn't matter what the professional would do. It's more important what that person thinks they might do. The kind of fears that would prevent you from seeking help.
Yes, I know. So I kind of know that feeling. Yeah.
All these things, factor in.
Yeah.
I would not want to carry this burden. I've seen a lot of UFO stuff, hoaxes, with God as my witness, the planet Venus, a weather balloon, drones, all that stuff. But I've never had a truly high strangeness experience, although I had one that shook me up. That I came back from Europe and saw this light kind of circle around and realized it was the play of wind against the saguaro cactus that made it look strange. But boy, your heart's beating, So I can't imagine what somebody has a real encounter or a UFO, UAP encounter, how this preys on their minds.
Yeah. Well, then we got little Jeremy down there who
has fallen silent, by the way.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
Well, he's suffered plenty of slings and arrows over the years, so, but he wound up escaping to Hawaii, so it's nice.
I win.
How long you been out there for?
Since 2012. Dun, dun, dun. The year had ended.
It did.
Imagine if I moved out here because of 2012, and then it never happened, and then I was just in Hawaii. Just like, wait, what?
Well, you did say you had some compelling force to move out there, so but I don't see, but it's not like this. But who knows? Maybe it was some kind of butterfly effect. You would have been hit by a bus in about 4 years or something if you still were in New York or something like that. I don't know.
It's still coming, Tim. Don't worry.
Yeah, I mean, he's lived through a volcano eruption. Does that count?
Well, no, because that's the he's in Hawaii, so it's who's the compelling force trying to destroy?
Maybe Hawaii's like a Venus flytrap trying to lure me here.
Now, I remember when we used to talk a lot back in the day on the Good Parade, there was a lot of cult activity out there in Hawaii. Is it still really culty?
I don't think so. I mean, maybe it is. It's funny because depending on where you live is what you see, I guess.
Yeah.
And, since moving down where we live now, let's go with no. No, it's a lot of, actually, since COVID, a lot of, scared white people moved in and, try to turn the place into a mini mall.
The gentrifying.
And we don't even have mini malls anymore, so I don't know why they would do that, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Scared white people are the best.
That's
I like how Vaeni, himself a scared white person, but he's been there long enough.
Whitest of all.
He's been there long enough. He was there for 8 years, and then he's like, "All right, what the fuck? All right,
Freaking Howleys." Yep.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
That's
man.
all true, but strange, nonetheless.
Tyler, you following the Congo outbreak?
Yeah, there's actually two.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's Mpox, the new name for monkeypox.
Everybody knows about Mpox. That's old news. What about, isn't there like a mystery disease in the Congo going on?
Yes, which they're calling X. Apparently,
Respiratory. Twitter?
Yeah, don't. Maybe he'll sue. I don't know.
Yeah,
but they don't really have a handle on it. One of the problems, what they're really up against, is that communications there are very poor, and so these things kind of get started, and it takes a while for anyone even to get samples or to know what's going on, because just getting from one spot to another is quite a challenge. So it doesn't sound. I think if it was Ebola, we would know, because that is very typically a classic set of symptoms: the blood, all that. So I think that they would have seen that, and we'd know that there's an outbreak. But could be the flu. Other people speculate, in children in particular, things like measles can be really rough if they're malnourished or they're fighting off malaria. There's so many possibilities at this point. I have no idea which one is the most probable, but trust me, they're going to be working on it and try to figure out if there's something really to be concerned about. And
so it could just be a regular thing and not like a mystery disease?
It could be. It could be just influenza has gotten in there, or measles. You have to remember that measles still rages uncontrolled in the world, even though in a lot of parts of it we have, through vaccinations, managed to keep it largely under control.
Yeah.
And it's a menace. It is a menace. The thing that people forget about is they often think, childhood disease, not that bad. If you're a child, generally no, but in some places, for years there was a form of measles called tropical measles, or referred to as tropical measles. And what that was is the shorthand for, in these places around the equator, that there were so many kids who were malnourished, and vitamin deficiencies or whatever, measles becomes really ferocious.
Jesus.
Yeah, and it's been known for quite a while. So it could be just that simple. An old nemesis just has popped back up. And
damn. Right.
Yeah, you don't want to get, in theory preventable, but in actual practice sometimes really difficult to attain, even with good vaccines. So
interesting. Oh, all right. See, I had my heart set on a mystery disease because that.
Well,
then we can bring back then we can bring back the Corona cast as a.
Yeah, great. But stand by, because we don't know. It could be just like the coronavirus, something that hadn't been seen before. God forbid it's something like AIDS and has percolated through and wide and far before we recognized it. I mean, that was one close call. And in the U.S., we probably have 1 million people HIV positive. Yeah, we are poised, though. I don't know if you guys see the literature or the information put out, but there's a program called U=U. And what that means is that the new drugs will take HIV positive patients down to a point where the virus is undetectable. And at that point, if it's not detectable by very sensitive mechanisms, it's also not transmissible, or the odds of transmission are really low. So in principle, we should be able to break the back of this epidemic.
That's what my understanding, right? Yeah, they've pretty much got it under control now.
Yes. Right? So, well, Yes and no. I mean, it's out
here
there
in America, you know, and all that. But
yeah, so making sure that people can get the drugs. The drugs are better in a lot of ways in terms of availability and utility. You don't have to take the pill on a really strict time regimen anymore. You can get a once a month shot, and it works.
yeah.
So these are major developments. No cure, no vaccine. So that's still with us.
Why can't they make one like they made the coronavirus vaccine?
Well, this guy HIV is very clever, and what it does is it takes the immune system down from the inside out, and so you start to lose the ability to do anything with it. It hides. It has refugia, where it can evade some of the therapies and come roaring back at later times. So it's about the worst enemy you can imagine. So it's got a lot of factors that work in its favor and not particularly ours. So it really, people don't realize how close a call that was. And, got in the blood supply, all these things.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. They caught it because if they hadn't, then it would have spread like crazy really fast. Yeah.
It was bad enough, as it was. But we really, in general, we dodged a bullet. Now, there's a lot of people that have paid the price and died, with those diseases. But anyway, don't know.
Wow. Come on, Tyler. It's Christmas. Try not to be so dark here. This is...
Yeah.
Try to...
Ho, ho, ho. But get ready. Could be. One doesn't know. At this stage, no one is saying, yes, oh my God, we got a catastrophe. What's necessary now is try to get to the root of what has caused this. And it is cause for concern. This is why we need to surveil, why we need good communications across the world, because it can start in the Democratic Republic of the Congo and end up here very quickly. And
well, we saw how it played out with the pandemic. So
yes, we did.
It was wild. That was like, looking back on it now, it was like, holy shit, did that happen? That was crazy. That was like a real, it was like a movie. It was.
The one good thing was the quick administration of therapies. So the immunotherapy, which for the people who were opposed to vaccines is actually passive vaccination.
Gotcha.
And the other, the vaccine put out by Pfizer and Moderna that worked, they had to be rushed. We haven't
got a chance to talk about this. Let's turn it back to something more lighthearted. I got COVID in September.
What? How'd it go for you?
It was awful, dude. It was awful.
Yeah.
Vaeni, have you gotten COVID yet? You must have had it.
No, but are you vaccinated for the strand that you had?
I am. Well, I was like riding on an 8-track, man. I had only the first 2. I only had the original recipe. So I never got boosted. I'm still riding just the original recipe. So I was like, oh, shit. What if I'm really tempting fate here? I'm just relying on the original recipe. I didn't have any boost or anything. So, but it
the
worked
look on
out.
Tyler's face right now is like shock and irate.
Yeah,
better than this.
If I was your doctor, I'd say, well, Tim, you fucked up.
Well, I got it from riding on a plane, dude. I'm sure of that.
Yeah,
it spreads like crazy when you fly on a plane.
It does, and I don't know what your flight was like, but I went to a couple different places this year, and nobody had on masks. And
nobody's wearing masks.
It was clear that it was spreading, that coronavirus was spreading, and lots of people were getting it. So I got the new vaccine, as soon as I could. To my knowledge, I've not had COVID, but I could have had a asymptomatic case because I've been fully vaccinated as they come out. Go right to Walmart, boom, get it.
Damn. So what happened to you, Tim, when you had it?
I was just super run down for like a day and like super achy. And then I had kind of like, that it went away after like a day. And then I had kind of like brain foggy sort of feeling for like 4 days. Then pretty much kind of after about a week, I felt like I was back to normal. So it was not that bad. I mean, that first day was just like, holy shit, what the fuck? And then I'm like, I better take a COVID test. And then I did. And I'm like, no, because I was really proud of never having gotten it. So,
but no long COVID symptoms yet.
Not that I'm aware of, it's hard to gauge that kind of thing. But no, I'm not really. Yeah, no long COVID, thankfully.
Yeah, no, I refuse to get it. Carol and I have not gotten it, and we're not going to get it. So,
yeah.
Well, with proper care, did you perchance get the treatment, the Paxlovid?
No, I did not get Paxlovid. No, I didn't even think of that. But because by the time I was like, oh shit, I think I have COVID, and then I took the test, and then I'm like, oh shit, I have COVID, and then within a half a day, I was just like, oh okay, I think the pain part's over now, so I'm just kind of like a little run down and a little confused, and just kind of confused mostly. It was weird, but I never had any of the taste sensation problems either, so I don't know. Got a bum deal on the COVID in a way. Would have been nice to have the taste problems that when you can't taste shit and all that.
Okay.
So for some people, that never comes back. That's terrifying.
Yeah, I would be
the new Ozempic kind of thing.
Yeah.
What do you think of that Ozempic, Tyler? That's pretty fucked up. That they came up with a pill that turns out it pretty much takes care of a whole bunch of other shit by accident.
Yeah, it's actually. Have you guys ever heard the story of Viagra?
Viagra. That's how. Yeah.
It was being tested for something other entirely, and as they're going through, it didn't meet its primary outcomes, and they were basically out processing the volunteers, and then suddenly people said, "Could I have some more?" And they reported this other incidental finding. Yeah. And they realized, oh, wait.
Yeah.
And an industry is born. But Ozempic looks like it's immensely promising that it could help people with diabetes avoid the really, really bad outcomes associated with that disease. All the things that it does. It can be really important. Now, some of these drugs do have important side effects because they change how glucose is processed. And there can be some interesting things with infection and whatnot. So, caution is the order of the day. But the weight loss, I think, was something that they noted, but didn't really at first pay attention to. Now it might be one of the primary reasons it's actually given to people. And
I think it is.
That too can be very important because the obesity itself has a number of long-term consequences. So hopefully, we don't have long experience with it. Hopefully, we won't find out there are long-term severe consequences that you can take this on a chronic basis and maintain better health than you would otherwise. So
that's like a smoking thing. Is it going to be people now are on it all the time, and it's like, oh shit, what if in 10 years it turns out it gives you terrible fucking liver cancer?
Yeah, I mean this is we don't know. I mean, we're talking about things that perturb interconnected systems and things that we understand only vaguely. Okay. So fingers crossed. I would give it to somebody if I were a physician prescribing that had, a really heavy need. I'm not so sure about someone that's not, really, really, truly obese, at risk, morbidly obese. But those things apparently are being done. So we'll see.
Well, Americans are so vain, and, also obesity is a national epidemic. So it's kind of. It's being used a lot now. It's crazy.
Yeah. So how's my Botox look to you guys? Okay.
You didn't get Botox?
No. Are you crazy? I'm going to shoot toxins into my face so I don't have wrinkles. Come on.
I got to say, I'm a little disappointed that your lighting hasn't slowly declined to darkness.
Wait.
Last year.
Yeah, I think we're a little bit later in the day. But it will go behind, the sun will go behind a mountain. It'll wink out just like that if you wait long enough. So we just got to keep talking.
Neither of you saw the eclipse, I take it.
I did not.
Either one of them?
Did not see him, no.
Wow. And Vaeni, I know you're in Hawaii, so you didn't see him, right?
Yeah, I don't go outside.
Oh, man. I can't recommend it enough. It was like the highlight of my year.
Where did you go?
Tyler, I can't believe, Tyler, you really missed out, dude. You really missed out. I went to Vergennes, Vermont.
Ooh.
Yeah,
I've been
largest. Oh, you've been to Vergennes?
Yeah, I've been to Vermont and almost got wiped out by a flood.
Wow.
It's interesting.
Nice.
So, yeah.
It was just amazing. Of all people, I think it would really resonate with you. It's just a once in a lifetime thing you see in this. It's like something you've never seen before in your life in the sky. It's like this white ring, and it's just like so mystifying and just kind of like mesmerizing is a better word. Mesmerizing. I just couldn't take my eyes off it. I was just like, and I'm like, literally, it wasn't even like, it wasn't even performative or whatever. I'm like, literally just like, oh my God. I'm literally saying, oh my God, like out loud. Like that's how astounding it was. It was really, yeah. And then afterwards, I was like emotionally shaken. I was like, what the fuck? Like that was the most amazing, beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. And, and then it's just gone,
Yeah, it's very fleeting. We thought about going to Maine. We have some friends that live in Maine and Buffalo, or not Buffalo, but we have friends that are in Niagara Falls, basically. And the totality was predicted to go right over their house, but the weather didn't cooperate there.
Yeah.
The guy in Maine, they went up north. They had to go up north and saw it. They had a great day. But we had thought about going down south to see it and just didn't get it done. So in 2017, I was still working and they would not let me off to go see the eclipse. So yeah, I know.
Ridiculous.
Tyler's in the middle of saving a patient's life. He's like, guys, the eclipse. Come on, TikTok.
I didn't have patients. I had students.
There you go. See.
Yeah. Didn't do anything dangerous.
Well, having seen the one this year, I deeply regret not going to see the one in 2017 because I was like, now I'm like, oh shit, I have friends who went and saw it in different places and shit, and I was just kind of like, that doesn't really turn me on or whatever. But then after they saw it, they were like, they had the same reaction I did. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to see this one then it comes around the second time.
Yeah, it's become kind of a mini travel industry where, if they have desirable places to stay, that those book up really fast. And there are, all kinds of trips and packages to get you to these sites because a lot of people do want to see them. So
yeah, I thought about doing like a trip to see it again because that's how, that's how amazing it was to me.
Well, I'm surprised that this wasn't written up on Coast to Coast, but I think if you lived in Carbondale, Illinois, Southern Illinois, that the total eclipse came through twice.
Yeah, I think there was a place, a couple area where
just by happenstance. So that has to say something, about the state of the world, right?
Well, it did put a big giant X over America. So,
there we go. See, okay, we take it from there.
Oh my God, Vaeni, you got a favorite Christmas movie?
Christmas movie?
Yeah. Do you get into the spirit?
I mean, A Christmas Story, of course, but that's, isn't that everyone's? Are we allowed to have another one besides A Christmas Story? I didn't realize.
Yeah, I like It's a Wonderful Life. I think that's a fantastic one.
That's my favorite.
Sure, but it's no A Christmas Story. I mean, come on.
I like Christmas Story, but it's
come on.
There's no leg lamp in that one. What are you talking about?
No BB guns.
You'll shoot your eye out, kid. Oh. Foot to the face. Come on, this is classic.
It is good. Christmas Vacation's excellent. Also, I like that a lot. Those are probably my three main ones. Do you have any Christmas traditions, Tyler?
Well, just we do have the family over on Christmas Eve. That's about that. We do that every year. And in terms of watching movies, I always like the It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah,
I've got that recorded. But you guys haven't seen Scrooge?
Scrooge,
yeah, the colorized version is probably the one that's out there now. Turner Broadcast System used to have it, I think.
The old Scrooge.
The old one, yeah. That's a classic.
Who's
classic
in it?
story. God, I can't even remember that. It's been.
You've never seen Scrooge?
No, I've seen it many times.
I haven't seen the
Oh, Tim?
original. I don't know which one he's
What?
talking about, but it must be an old
What do you
time
mean?
one.
You seen the Bill Murray Scrooge? Is
I've
that
seen-
No,
he's not talking
no.
about
I'm
Bill
talking.
Murray.
There was one year.
I know
I
what
love
you're
Scrooge.
talking about, Tyler.
I love Scrooge. That's one of my favorite movies too. Christmas movies. That's a great.
Yeah, I mean it's
Yeah.
about loss and redemption and learning things. So that's a good.
All lessons I need to sharpen up on around the
All
holidays.
all of us. So
That's true. We do. You know, it's going to be tough going forward. We need to stick together or have a upbeat attitude about things. You know, it's going to
yeah,
be all right.
but Vaeni's rented out his complex, so we're going to have to find another place to convene.
How long's this guy? You say 12 weeks, but how long? He just get there?
Yeah, last Tuesday.
All right. So we're talking. How long is that, Tyler? Let's see if we can do the math on that. So 12.
A little more than 11 weeks.
So 3 months. So essentially December, January, February. Yeah. So he'll be out of there like in March.
Okay. So spring. We just
Yeah,
have to survive
it'll still
till
be cold.
spring. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll still be cold where you are, so you can come then.
No, I was just gonna say, like, it gets cold in Hawaii. What are you fucking crazy? Does it ever snow out there?
It snows up on the mountains. Doesn't snow anywhere else.
Yeah, it gets cold, Tim. It drops down to 60. Sometimes.
Yeah, I know, right?
That does feel like freezing, though, after a couple of years of living here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, I bet it does. So much wild animals. This supposed to be you have a window open there. I hear all these birds and shit.
Yeah, should I have shut it?
Nice.
I tried to mute myself as much as possible.
Sounds of nature offend him.
It's nice. No, I like it.
Okay.
Very peaceful. Oh man. So what do you want for Christmas, Tyler? You got anything in mind you like?
Not really. I'm
Yeah.
still at that stage where if there's something I really want, I can just
buy it.
get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, isn't that life?
I asked the grandkids to just bring me cinnamon rolls and root beer. You know.
Oh yeah, I think you said that last year. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Just
asked you that.
go into some
What
kind
are you,
of sugar
Krampus?
high. Yes. What's your point?
Krampus. He's Krampus. He's Krampus. There you go.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, that's kind of where I am. It's just phase of life going through,
Yeah.
I guess. So.
And I take it Carol will be buying you a lot of action figures, Vanny.
Yep. Star Wars, Lego. What I really want is for Tyler to buy me something expensive. Now that I know, you just said he has money for this, right?
What are you looking at?
I don't know. It's on you. It's a gift. It's a surprise. Just make it
okay.
nice.
No, I'll go down to the Tucson Gin and Mineral Show and get you guys one of those giant crystal things and have it shipped out.
Oh, great. Something Carol will love.
Yeah.
What
it's
about
cosmic.
me?
Well,
I got
cosmic.
it. No, I got it. I figured it out. Well, we'll ruin the surprise now. Tyler, you can buy me a gift also, and Vanny. You will fly me, and you will just show up out there at Vanny's house. You and I. That'll be the gift. We'll be
I've
like,
been
hey.
threatening to do that for years, but I think it should be correlated with some kind of symposium or meeting of the mind.
Paramania.
Maybe, but as I've gotten older, you go. I would be. You would laugh, Tyler. You'd be very amused because I would be irritated the whole fucking time.
No, I understand.
I'd be like, why the fuck are we sitting in this library conference room, Tyler, on fucking Hawaii, so we can talk about let's just go to a restaurant and talk about this shit. Like, why the fuck? Let's go to the beach, something like that.
No, I know where to go. We go up to Volcano National Park and we have dinner in their lodge and watch the volcano.
Yeah, I can bring you around to all sorts of stuff.
I thought you'd been out to see Vanny.
Oh yeah.
Oh, so a second trip. I need to get out there before. Yeah. I need to get out there before you make a second trip.
Well, it's also you want to time it with the activity of the volcano. because the first time I went, we were very fortunate. The volcano just decided to stop producing that horrible air pollution, and we got in under the wire there. But it is interesting to watch the volcano, as long as they'll let you get close. I don't know. It's open now, isn't it? Volcano National Park is open.
Yeah, I don't know how you time it with something you don't know what the timing is.
I just call it, and you tell me, yeah, red glow coming down the mountain. Might want to hold off, and I'll just get the tickets changed, and no problem.
Could all
Tyler has the sensitivity of a feral cat. So that's when the volcano's going to go off. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah, no, we should organize some kind of meetup. That would be great out in Hawaii. That would be fun. So
it's pretty phenomenal. And then right nearby where Jeremy lives, there's all kinds of beautiful places to snorkel and enjoy the ocean and the country. There are ruins that I don't know how old they are. These people, Polynesian progenitors had built, and they did a pretty good job of it. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah,
and
no, for sure.
There also is a giant radio communications facility nearby, which I'm sure somehow relates to Jeremy moving out there. Giant radio telescope.
I don't know why you keep saying that.
Well, because when I drove down back in the day when the road to South Point was this dirt track, I almost drove off the road trying to stare at this damn thing.
Weird.
It's impressive. So,
do you know about this, Vaeni, or is he just talking ragtime?
No, I know what he's talking about. I wouldn't want to give away where we live exactly, but I know what he's talking about.
Somewhere.
Jesus, Tyler. Why don't you give everyone my fucking address? Christ.
Okay, I can do that.
Oh, my God.
Tell them how amazing it is, and then give them my address. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Well, he's the one fucking telling us he lives next to a municipal fucking golf course. That's really, he practically gave away his location too. He lives dangerously.
Well, yeah. If you want to look at it on Google Maps, it looks like the footprint of the house looks like the Millennium Falcon. I'm not
Mine or yours?
Mine. Yours is a complex.
With golf balls all over on top of it. So
yeah.
It's like, what are those little white things all over the top of his house? It's like that's
it's a risk here, can I tell you?
So we're getting closer to that amoeba on Europa, Tyler. I keep seeing shit. So closer and closer.
Missions on the way. They might
shit's swimming there. Yeah.
They may be able to vacuum up some actual organics and whatnot as they're in orbit. So it's going to be quite fascinating. I can't remember when it arrives on scene. It usually takes a while.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I thought that one was going to die an early death because I don't know if you remember, they discovered that it may not have been sufficiently hardened against the radiation that it was going to encounter. They seem to think that it's going to be okay. Oh God, how can you do this?
Yeah.
So,
well, maybe we'll be on the moon soon, so that'll be fun.
Somebody will. May not be the U.S.
Well, we have a plan at least. That's like the best I've seen in my lifetime, a plan, because I wasn't around for the moon landing.
Yeah, it was. Those were heady days, but back then it was largely the space race was a real thing, and so the Americans and the Russians were racing each other to do this and that. And if we hadn't had that competition, I don't think that the Apollo program would have been birthed. So maybe a competition with China will get us back on the moon in a timely fashion. We'll see. It's not easy, as people are finding out, and I have some doubts about the approach with private industry. NASA's had some interesting problems with that. They managed to inflame a lot of, sensitivities of certain First Nations peoples about placing remains on these probes that were destined to land on the moon. So
I heard about that. Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, and it wasn't like somebody heard a report and then called NASA. They had already convened with NASA about some of their concerns, and they were told that they would be duly taken into consideration. And then when the time came, they're saying, well, this is really a private corporation. We can't really tell them anything. And I thought, yeah, okay, that's cool. Just threaten to zero them out on the funding. That might get their attention.
Well, it's bureaucracy for you. Vaeni, you mentioned Grush earlier. Do you have thoughts on the current state of the UFO scene? I was kind of like, I feel like the fad is kind of over, honestly. I feel like when you see people with the books coming out and shit, like Lou Elizondo and I guess his buddy Jay Stratton or his rival, or I don't know if they're friends or what now, but
and you see that Grush himself has refused to go into a skiff.
Yeah,
he's like, sure, it's my time. I've got my soul foundation to think about now. No, I think the most, all of this was par for the course. Everyone with a half a brain in ufology, which is probably the three of us and Jack Brewer, saw this coming a mile away. And Erica Lukes. I guess the disappointing thing, and also to be expected, is there's never the moment of self-reflection, right? So all these people who are all psyched up for this stuff, they're just, like you're saying, kind of going away, But there's no point where they're like, wait, I've been had, or wait, none of this is real. And I don't know, it just bothers me that, like, you can spend years of your life obsessing about something and then realize that you've been had and just go on with no sense of, like, wait, maybe I'm the kind of person who gets had. Maybe I should look at how did I get tricked into this so easily? What happened here? Where suddenly I believed people who normally I would say are disinformation agents, but because they're telling me the thing I want to hear, I thought they were soothsayers. It's just like, I don't know. It gets to the larger problem in this country, maybe in the world, of not self-reflecting, and so on we go, Yeah.
Yes, I was just going to say that. It seems like I pride myself on self-reflection. I think you have to really kind of be like, okay, why did I just do that? I don't think enough people like just ask themselves questions like that. Like, okay, why am I so bothered by this? Or why is this, getting me all worked up or whatever? It's like, they just kind of go with it. They don't go like ever wonder why the fuck, why they have these emotional reactions to things. Now, Tyler, I remember when you were just a little baby UFO buff, and you really were like, you kind of,
the crystal skulls.
There you go. Yeah, so you've developed the hardened scar tissue that we have now after all these years.
Well, Jeff Ritzman used to take me aside and say, okay, this is what this person's going to do. You can talk to them if you want, but they'll say this and then they'll do that. And he was right every single time.
Yeah.
So he kind of taught me to, keep your guard up with these guys. But the UAP phenomenon is evergreen, as we understand. And, there's drones now flying over Jersey. The New York Times has finally got on the reporting of that. Jack Brewer clued me in on some earlier reporting. But it is the thing that I really kind of wonder about is how the NASA program, because they were talking about having a little bit different take on how to examine these things. And I don't have much hope that's going to occur. I think they'll be zeroed out in the budget. But I'll also come out and say that anybody that thinks that you're going to get the full, true, and 100% reliable story from an agency of the federal government is deluding themselves.
Yeah.
That will not happen. You can go back, ask Greg Bishop, what he discovered when he wrote Project Beta and the things that were done, and all this stuff that was put out there that people just unfortunately lapped up. Yeah. So I think we ought to look at it with a strong element of I don't trust you.
I saw people talking about the drone thing in Jersey, but I didn't understand what it was. It sounds like there are drones, and then some people are like, that's just what they want you to think, because they can't tell you what it really is. This is the alien invasion happening. It's happening right now. So what are we talking about? Is it obviously drones, or is it not obviously drones?
It must be obviously drones, because that's how it's being portrayed in the news media, and some of them have.
Why are we talking about it? Why? Who cares? Drones, yeah.
Well, they're unidentified drones, though. They could. They don't know, and they're doing.
But private people own drones.
Yes.
Yeah.
This
is quite get it. Yeah.
As I understand it, some of them are coming not as single entities, but it's several at a time. Not unlike the things that we saw with the destroyers being basically with a halo of drones around them, and their crew going, "Oh my God, what should we do?"
Yeah.
Like they don't know what to do. But these have caused some problems in terms of airspace problems, and you got to share the airspace. And so I think that if it is serious, we'll probably find out a little bit more about it. If there's a collision with a plane or something, that of course would be tragic. Hopefully not.
You don't hear that very often, do you? Like, do planes hit drones? And does the drone just like ping off the plane, or does it damage the plane? I don't know. We're not saying like plane crashes because of drones yet, but I mean, I don't know. You'd think.
It can be serious. You remember the time the guy landed the plane in the was it the Hudson River or East River in New York?
Sully Sullenberger.
Yeah, and he hit what, geese or something? Sucked into the engines, and that was it.
So yeah, I guess yeah.
If the drones are big enough, I mean, if I was flying in a plane, my preference would be not to hit anything in general.
Of course.
Yeah. So I would take everything very seriously. We also have people pointing lasers at the pilots. So, there's all kinds of oddball events out there.
I like how Tyler wants to stress to everybody that he would fly by the book for the FAA. There's no shenanigans if Tyler was your airline pilot.
Yeah. I would hope that I could be as sharp and as and capable as Sullenberger, because that was a remarkable feat to get that thing down and get everybody off.
Miracle on the Hudson.
Yeah, and of course they tried to frame him, but okay, nonetheless. So
you're talking about? Yeah, I heard that it fabricated some of that for the movie just to add tension.
This is interesting. You don't know for sure, do you? And I certainly don't. Was it really come out this way? And
right.
Anyway, but I believe the Tom Hanks version.
That's the that's the one that's saying they fabricated the tension. But I'm telling you, just so everybody understands, I believe the Tom Hanks version and I believe the Carol Rainey version. So there we have. There you go. Now Vaeni mentioned the Soul Foundation. I'm sure this has come up like in conversation in the past with us, but I don't remember because I am getting old. But how do you feel, Tyler, as one of the you're a scientist that got into this fucking like 15 years ago, and now there's all these Johnny-come-lately scientists who are, academics and doctors and shit. They should be talking to you because you're.
I don't think so.
I mean, no, because you're like seasoned, dude. You're like you've been through the battles and shit and all that. They should be like, oh, okay, let's talk to this guy this Dr. Tyler Kokjohn who has been around for a while and knows some of this shit, so you could just disabuse them of some of these crazy notions. But I see them and they're like, I don't take this new scientific bent of ufology seriously. But as a scientist yourself, what do you think?
I think some of the people like Avi Loeb of Harvard are taking what I would call a scientifically courageous stand. I don't agree with most of his conclusions and ideas. I think some of them are good, some are outrageous, and he's going to get raked over the coals for it. That's what's going to happen to him. But if you go back, it's just like you guys were saying. You can see it coming because you've seen it all before. If you've been around for a while. It cycles. It goes around, comes around again, and you're ready for it. Yeah. There's just too many people who are new to it. First time, they're enamored. I think, in my opinion, that they get clouded judgment or whatnot, and they kind of just get into a groove where they know what the right answer is and how to get an audience, and that's not good.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that all of them are dishonest, but I think some of them know how to get on shows. And that's fine. You just have to realize that you're not necessarily talking to somebody that's completely open about what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's something we have to watch. But but I'll also have you know that I got into UFOs 1967, reading a book by Frank Edwards, Flying Saucers, Serious Business.
Wow.
And that started, I got everything I could get my hands on for quite a few years. I went after. And then I got away from it when I got into high school and college. It just wasn't a thing anymore. But in the 60s, it was a really interesting time. The Lorenzens in Arizona had a group, APRO, NICAP. I was writing to them all. I wrote to Project Blue Book.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, I still got the letters.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So
I wonder if your stuff's in the archive, in the Blue Book archives. That would be cool to look and see. Like,
if they kept records.
Peter Davenport's silo.
That could be.
They're underwater in a silo.
Well, yeah, as long as it hasn't flooded, we'll be fine. But if they kept records, there would be 2 letters from me to Blue Book, and it was.
I wonder if they have. Yeah, that would be interesting to see if they have that kind of stuff available. It was
the guy running it was Hector Quintana.
Yeah.
When I wrote to him because. But you had remember.
What did you write to him about, and how old were you?
Oh, I think about 12.
Oh, wow!
Yeah,
like letters to Santa.
Yeah, and so I would see things like Look magazine had a big article about these UFOs. Everybody was seeing. It was a kind of a hot subject, and they had somebody in there. His name was Duck Nelson, that had made all these claims, and I said, well, what do you guys think about this? And they denied everything. We don't know who he is. We've not heard of him.
Oh, they wrote you back?
Yes. Because it's a federal program, they're required to.
Wow.
They were required to. What it was is to be in Blue Book at that time, because the serious thing was Sign, I think, and then came Grudge, and then Blue Book.
Yeah.
Blue Book was the time when they kind of wanted to be done with this in the public, but they were required to report to you or listen to you, respond to you. So somebody in the Air Force that screwed up real good got into Blue Book. Okay, either that or they had to go to Adak, Alaska, and have the radar all winter long. So I don't think it was prime duty.
What do you guys think of Lloyd Pye's Star Child skull?
He didn't even exist back then. That's how old. That's how far back this went.
Lloyd Pye and the Star Child. Why is this joke that Tyler was really into the Star Child skull when you first met him?
Oh, he was so into it. He wrote to Lloyd Pye and was like, "Dude, I will look at that thing for you." And Lloyd Pye was like, "Get out of here! I'm not serious."
Yes, that was. I think that was one of the. That was the first. And just in general, Tyler learns the cruel truth about the world of the UFOs because he was.
Yeah, that was the first. I think that was the first shot.
It was,
hello, I'm a qualified scientist, and I would love to lend my expertise to your cause and try and help you. And then they were like, oh, shit, lock the door. Like, don't let him in.
All right. Now, Jeremy has changed a few details in the story. But Jeff told me, this is one I was thinking about. Jeff told me, here's what he's going to say. Here's what he's going to do. This is how it'll unfold. And stupidly, well, I shouldn't say stupidly. I went ahead and got in contact with him and said, you don't necessarily need to sequence the entire genome. There might be an easier way to do this by looking at the proteome because the collagen's probably still in the, all that stuff. And he was interested. And I thought I had great hopes.
So interested that he never took you up on it.
Yeah. Okay. Now there's that. All right. But if we go through.
He feigned interest like a champ, Tim.
No, you guys are being unfair. But I had great hope when this started that he had found a way to self-fund an investigation that would get to some what I would call real hardcore objective data. It was a very difficult project, very, very challenging technically, but I thought he was going to do okay. And then we kind of parted ways, or he got very upset with me when he started to publish some of the data. And I said, this is contamination. This what you're seeing here, in my opinion, is an artifact of the fact that this is old and has not been properly curated or stored. And so these are the kind of things you're going to see. It is not indicating, alien origin at all. You're not going to get very far with this. But, it's his right to publish. So he put his stuff out in his way, kind of like Melba Ketchum kind of put the Bigfoot stuff out. So that was a disappointment. And I know I made him angry. And, I'm sorry about that. But you can't, there's a point where you just can't go any further. You have to say, Lloyd, I'm sorry, this doesn't wash. And,
Right.
Great effort, but no.
Do we know what became of the Star Child skull?
Didn't Chase Kletsky or someone get that looked at? I can't remember now. That's a good question. Yeah, I don't remember.
Really? Because I thought they would have given it back to the First Nations peoples whom they confiscated it from. And
Yeah.
Oh no, they didn't do that.
I don't know.
Go back to the cave, did it?
I don't know.
It went into the arms of Chase Kletsky. Boy, there's a riveting scientist, Chase Kletsky.
A lot of talk about testing it. It's like, this is, so I guess it wasn't, well, I guess it was a Star Child because it's just sitting on your mantle in your fucking basement.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know if it was. And just to be clear, I don't know if Chase Kletsky worked on it or got it. I thought that I saw that, but I just stopped following because I just didn't want to deal with it.
Maybe they buried him with it. If I was him, I would have been like, oh no, I'm taking this thing with me. So you're burying me with the Star Child skull.
It's really.
But so bad. Wait, Lloyd Pye was not a scientist of any sort, right?
No,
he was just like a researcher in quotes.
Yeah.
And Chase Kletsky is she even a researcher? She's a podcaster in quotes.
Well,
right?
I thought that
the chain of custody of the biggest artifact in human history, or however you might want to call it, doesn't quite go to science directly, does it? It goes from like researcher to podcaster to, I don't know, trust fund or something. I don't know what. Okay. I don't know what the next step is for the.
Yeah, good question.
It's just I just want to, everyone out there in listener land, just realize how ludicrous ufology is. That, claiming, again, we've said this a million times, right? Claiming to want the approval and the validation of mainstream media and mainstream science, blah blah, and at the same time not ever wanting to do any of the work that's involved for that to happen.
It's interesting. I would go back, and my understanding is, maybe someone out there will correct me if I'm wrong, that Chase Kletsky was trained as a forensic investigator, possibly FBI. I don't know if I remember this correctly.
I have no
So she did have some background and skills that would have been appropriate. But you also have to remember the way a lot of science is done is that it's a collaborative effort. And so I might, for example, find something like, let's just say a Star Child skull came into my possession. I would get in touch with somebody that could do the sequencing, that has worked with ancient DNA and be willing to do this, kind of work and that sort of thing. That's not unusual. And then you can rely on them to report back to you what they found and perhaps how to interpret it. But you can end up doing a lot of that work with others, even though you perhaps don't have the equipment or even the direct knowledge of how to do it best. That's why you collaborate. Not uncommon at all.
Yeah, of course.
And Lloyd has people helping Tyler keeping the door open. Tyler's keeping the door open to the Star Child skull. Chase, call me.
And Chase, with Tyler, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's only been 12 years. Could happen.
Oh my God.
Well, anyway, just go back.
Yeah.
to the most dangerous man in ufology, Gary Nolan, who has, just kicked the crap out of some hypotheses, literally, while also spawning some interesting ideas of his own. And but he will, given the opportunity, he will report that data, as he gets it. And that's a guy that could be very dangerous to you. That he will do the work. So, I mean, you think back to Roswell, Stanton Friedman.
Yeah.
Bill Moore. I mean, regardless of what your opinion of Bill Moore is or isn't, they went down when they got the start of the story. What did they do? They went to Roswell and they found people and they interviewed them. They walked around. They got everybody they could find that was connected with it. Kudos for that. Now, the rest of it, I'm not so sure about.
Right.
But they actually did the work.
Put the legwork in. Yeah.
Did the investigation, and we do have a lot of folks that I think would never do that. Never think to dirty themselves or, expend effort and do things. But we fortunately have people that will. So we got that much.
Well, as Stan would say, they do their research by proclamation and not.
Yes. Yeah.
God bless them. Yep. Thinking about you, Stan.
Yeah.
Well, we'll wrap it up here because we're nearing the 2-hour mark and we all have lives to get on to, I think. And, we can't expect people to listen to us much longer on fucking Christmas Day. But to the truly devoted hardcores who are out there listening right now, thank you. Tyler, if you want to fucking get me something for Christmas, and maybe Vaeni will go in on this ask from me. I miss you, buddy. I miss you over on the Twitter, and I'm not even on Twitter anymore. I'm over on the Blue Sky. Come over to Blue Sky, dude. It's nice. It's a welcoming place. It's not troll heavy. Real scientists are on there now and shit, and it really has. I mean, Vaeni, you can speak to this. It really has it has replaced Twitter as it has the. It kind of has that vibe of Twitter before it went to hell. So it's a really fun site. I like it a lot. And I mean, it's a double-edged sword because I love you. And anytime you can, these are like vices. So anytime you can fucking cut out social media from your life, it's like smoking. It's like, I don't know, I shouldn't encourage you to start up again. But at the same time, this seems like so far, at least the least harmful social media that I've seen so far. It's sort of a turn back towards like, hey, let's just all chill out, have fun, and have a conversation about stuff and not fucking argue or, troll people and shit. And it's pretty great. I really like it a lot. I miss our interactions over on Twitter. So, think about it. You should consider coming over to Blue Sky.
Yeah, Jeremy has told me about this, and I saw a couple of different places that have remarked how many people are coming over. Do they have direct messages like Twitter did?
They do have direct messages. They don't have group messages yet, but they have singular one-on-one, one-to-one messages. So, yeah.
Because that's the thing that I miss is being able to get in quick contact with people in response to an article or event or something. And
they have that. So it's so similar to Twitter. It's uncanny. So it really is. It's quite nice.
And the news feed is what Twitter used to be. That's like my wife Carol, as you both know. That's what she loved about Twitter. Like when Syria happened last night.
Yeah.
I mean, like within 10 minutes, it was on Blue Sky, like Syria has fallen. So that used to be what Twitter was. You could get that kind of news that quickly.
Yeah.
And then and it became what it became.
So you should do it. Oh, nothing. You froze for a minute there. But yeah, that would be my ask for Christmas. And I'm sure Vaeni echoes it. Get on over to the Blue Sky. We'd love to have you.
Okay. Just remember that, I'm like the guy that you were nice to that then you discover is living in the crawl space under your house. I'll be constantly sending you messages, which
That's
you'll have
fine,
to delete.
Dude. No.
At first I thought you were writing a Jim Morrison poem just now. I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, that was weird. Yeah.
Hey, come on. We're supposed to talk about paranormal stuff, right? So there you go.
There you go. So what you're still writing over at the blog, Tyler? Plug that stuff if you want.
Yeah, it's just stream of consciousness. Things that happen in the news usually set me off, and it's about science and technology. It's honestly, I'm happy that people look at it. I'm amazed that anybody's interested, but it's just something to keep my brain alive, and just do it because I like it.
There you go.
It's kind of fun. So,
and where can people find it?
Nowhere. I'm not telling you.
It's like Sizizzy or some sort of hard thing to remember.
It is Synthetic Genetic Shakespeare's on WordPress.
Okay, Synthetic Genetic Shakespeare's.
Yes.
All right.
The other one was an astronomical term, syzygy, when the planets or bodies line up.
Oh.
It's a real word, so they didn't invent it.
I didn't think so.
What happens when that happens?
Bad things.
Isn't that like
Eclipses.
an alignment?
Yeah, eclipses and stuff.
Wow. Weird. All right. How about you, Vaeni? What do you got going on? Last time I think you were on, you were like, what, didn't you? Yeah. Were you doing like That's So Vaeni or something like that? Or just to kind of.
He's like, so veiny. Yes.
Yeah.
I got to get on that. I got to do a couple more of those. I am.
Yeah.
It's
You're
intermittent.
doing reaction videos or something like that. Yeah.
Yes, to UFO and spiritual shit. But I'm in the midst of a season of Our Undoing Radio, wherever you get your podcasts, with Tom Cheatham, who is a biologist and philosopher and now cybernaut who has gone and done iboga. And we talk about, that spirituality, the paranormal, blah, blah, blah. So we have a running dialogue that's been going on for a number of episodes, and will continue on into the near future. So check that out. OurUndoing.com is my website, and I have a book coming out probably next year, but I won't tell you what that is.
Oh, come on.
Always.
You got to tell us.
Guy. Lake Monsters, you're finally going to go there.
Well, it's going to be on Kundalini, but it's not going to be like a boring book on Kundalini. It's going to be a great book on Kundalini.
Very nice.
It's really about the ducks, but it's also about Kundalini. So look forward to that.
About the ducks?
Yes.
All right.
I'll just leave it at that. I'm teasing it, Tim. I'm teasing it.
All right.
I don't know that I'm teasing it in a way that anyone would want to buy it, what I'm selling, but I'm teasing it nonetheless.
Fair enough. All right. Well, with all that said, I love you guys. It's been a blast. It's been a lot of fun. This I think it has become a holiday tradition now, Tyler. So, it's been real. It's been real. I love catching up with you guys, and it brings me back. Reminds me of the good old days. It's funny. I saw Micah Hanks at an event in Nashville. We were kind of talking about the scene nowadays. And like, I kind of caught myself because I even said, I'm like, when we were kids, it wasn't like this. It's like, holy shit. Like, it's crazy. Yeah, it's really crazy. So, and, it's meeting you two guys and having all these experiences and doing these shows with you. It's been a really great pleasure. It's one of the great pleasures of my career here in this crazy field. The fucking Good Parade. God, Vaeni, what were we thinking? Jesus Christ. And the CoronaCast, that was, we talk about Carol.
This is going to be a moneymaker.
Yeah, we were like, this is it. This is our ticket to get out of the paranormal. And then it was like, no, it turns out you've just agitated a lot of crazy people.
It's a little.
All because we just wanted to review Garbage Pail Kids and shit.
Yeah, that's how it happens.
Yeah. And of course, the CoronaCast, Tyler, it was like, that was just such an experience, those 10 weeks doing that show. And Carol was actually part of the show a few times. So I look back on that and really kind of miss it in a way, not the tension of it, but sort of like having that weird weekly show with the call-ins and shit. It was like the most real radio kind of experience that I ever had doing this, because it was like old Art Bell. It was like, caller, you're on the air, and then it was like, here's Carol Rainey to give us an update on what it's like in New York through all this shit. So it was an incredible experience, and I'm so happy I got to share it with you. Even though it was in difficult times.
It was, but if you go back and look at it, the shocking thing is you were doing the count every week. Remember, we'd start out, and we ended up with what, 1.5 million dead?
Something like that.
Not sickened, but dead. I mean, it was just astronomically higher than anybody. If you'd asked me, I would have said, be a third of that at the worst. And
Yeah.
God, how this thing played out and the incredible things, and you're kind of like right there. So
Yeah. We were on the front lines. It was crazy. Well, we weren't on the front lines. What the fuck am I talking about? There were real people on the front lines.
Yeah,
we were in
actual
our
people.
houses talking like a couple of assholes.
You were on the sidelines.
Yeah, we were on the sidelines.
Well, we were talking.
We were on the sidelines, but we were talking. And we were wiping down our groceries, and we were doing our part. So
well, but see, all that this is the history of it, and you point back, and say, look, here's how science works. And one of the things was that they first told us is we don't think it's respiratory. We're more worried about contact. Remember, you'd have to clean your groceries, establish, and so that's what we were talking about. And lo and behold, it was wrong, and that bounced back, on Fauci and everybody so bad. And they never were able to convey the fact that it's
an evolving process.
We don't exactly know, and this is the self-correcting nature of science. Hey, boy, strange times, just strange times.
Well, but you were a silver lining on the dark cloud of it all. Is the nice thing I'm trying to say. And I've known Vaeni now for years. I remember when I first met Vaeni, and it was like, I don't know if I want to be friends with Vaeni. He has a falling out with everyone, right? Eventually, but it's like, wow, we're like an old married couple now. We've made it, dude. So.
Yeah, the key is to pay absolutely no attention to anything he says. And then come back later and figure out what he was trying to say. Yeah,
he's a wonderful person, Jeremy. He cares about me. I'll say that. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Thanks, guys.
And we care about
I'd like
you,
to say
Jeremy.
the same about both of you.
Yeah, try it.
So I will.
We care about you. All right.
So I will. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everybody.